So guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about my recommendation for the beginner wildlife photographer. And that recommendation would be this lens right here, the Nikon 300mm f4. So this is the older version of the lens. I bought this about 6 years ago, and I think this is one of the best purchases I've ever made as a beginner wildlife photographer. So this lens is the older version, as I said, and there is a newer version. It has VR, and it is a bit smaller and lighter than this one. However, at the time when I bought this, it was affordable. The new one had just recently came out, and that was way out of my price range as a 16-year-old. So I decided to go with the tried and trusted 300mm f4, no VR, and I did a lot of research on this lens back in the day, and it really piqued my interest, so I decided to pull the trigger on it. And I ended up getting this teleconverter with it as well, which is the 1.4 times teleconverter. So that essentially makes this lens a 420mm f5.6. So you only lose one stop of light with the teleconverter, but you get 120 millimeters of focal length for each. So a lot of the wildlife photos that I've shot over the past 4 or 5 years has been with this lens, and I will show a bunch of those on the screen right now. They're very high quality, super sharp. I've switched from camera to camera. I went from, back in the day, the D7100 when I first bought this, to the D500, and now I'm using it with the Z6 II, which is currently filming with the FTZ adapter, and I have not seen any loss in focus performance or sharpness or anything like that during my test with the Z6 II here. I will be able to test this out a bit more coming soon. I'm hopefully going to do a bunch more wildlife photography videos. There is a local area that I know about around here that has some bobcats, so hopefully I'll be able to get out with this lens and the new camera, the Z6 II, and get some wildlife shots and test it out a bit more. And there's also going to be a new lens coming soon, which I won't tell you about just yet, but that is something to keep your eyes open, and it'll definitely improve my wildlife photography. But for you beginners out there, I would still recommend this lens. Like I said, there is a new version of it, and I think brand new, that new version with the VR that came out about 5 years ago is about $2,000, but I think you can get it on eBay used, which is where I did purchase this originally. You can get the VR version used on eBay for about $1,200. I bought this, like I said, 5 to 6 years ago at about $900. However, nowadays, since the new one came out, this has dropped in price, so you could probably get this lens for about $600 now. And I highly recommend the teleconverter with it. Like I said, I haven't seen any loss of quality, and it's definitely given me that extra bit of reach that I needed for some wildlife scenarios. And yes, this lens is quite heavy and quite large, and that is the downside regarding buying this rather than the VR version. The VR version is what I would recommend to you guys nowadays, because like I said, you can get it on eBay used, fairly affordable, get the the teleconverter with it, and then you'll have an awesome setup for wildlife photography to start off with. For me, wildlife photography always comes down to the glass. I've gotten great photos with all the cameras that I've had for wildlife photography, but that is because of this lens. When you have one of those kit lenses that I started off with way back in the day, I had a 55 to 300, and if you compare that 300mm to this 300mm, this is so much better, even on the exact same camera. So I will show you guys a few more of the images that I've gotten over the years with that lens there, and I will probably make a video about me using that lens with this camera that is currently filming. So hopefully that helped you guys out a little bit. If you are new to the world of wildlife photography, I'd say that lens is still a great purchase, even though there is the VR version. If you are starting to get into wildlife photography and you just want something affordable and cheap, I would highly recommend it. As a photographer of 8 years, it's one of my favorite lenses, and it's taken me until a few days ago to replace it. And like I said, I will still be using that, but the new lens that I am talking about will be coming soon, and I will definitely do a video or multiple videos about that new lens. And so I'm not really getting into any more of the details regarding all the specs of everything, the exact prices, the exact weights. I just wanted to give you guys a very general idea of the setup that I've been using for the past few years for wildlife photography. Hopefully I will be doing more wildlife photography. I just recently put out that video about how I got into wildlife photography and a few tips and tricks that I have for wildlife photography, but hopefully I'll be making more videos related to animals and wildlife, because that is one of the reasons why I got into photography to start off with. I don't want to do in-depth camera reviews. I will on certain cameras and certain gear that I am buying to let you guys know and keep you updated with my current setup, but I don't really want to get into the technicalities, and I just want to share my work and maybe inspire some people to go out with a camera and take some photos of some awesome animals. So hopefully in the future, I will be doing a few more trips this summer regarding wildlife, and I will hopefully be able to make some more wildlife and animal related content here on YouTube. So if you do like that, definitely subscribe down below and hit that like button. Comment, let me know what lens you're using for your wildlife photography. And that's about it, guys. So I will talk to you in the next video.